أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله الأول بلا أول كان قبله، والآخر بلا آخر يكون بعده، ثم الصلاة والسلام على خير الأنام نبينا محمد وعلى آله الكرام صلوات الله وسلامه عليهم أجمعين، والبراءة من أعدائهم إلى قيام يوم الدين. Respected brothers, respected sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Congratulations to you all on this auspicious birth anniversary of our beloved 9th Imam, Muhammad al-Jawad, peace and blessings be upon him. On this occasion, we send our heartfelt congratulations to the Imam of our time, Al-Hujjat al-Mahdi, and we beseech Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala by the honor of this event and the Imam, peace and blessings be upon him, to hasten the glorious reappearance of our awaited Imam, and to grant us all the success to be among his assistants and devoted servants, inshaAllah. On the 10th of the month of Rajab, according to the famous narration, year 190 after the migration of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and in the city of Medina, the 9th Imam Muhammad al-Jawad was born. And when he was born, the joy had overwhelmed the heart of our beloved 8th Imam, the mother, the family, and the rest of the Shia and the close companions. The kunya that he was given was Abu Ja'far, which was the kunya, the epithet of his grandfather, our Imam al-Baqir, peace and blessings be upon him. The muhaddithin, the narrators, whenever they mention the kunya of our Imam al-Jawad, they would add to it al-Thani, to distinguish him from Abu Ja'far al-Baqir. So they say Abu Ja'far al-Thani. His mother was a woman, a righteous woman by the name of Sabika. Also reported Rayhana, Durra, and Khayzaran, according to a report that our beloved Imam al-Rida alayhi salam gave her the name Khayzaran. She was a Nubian, and Nubians are an ethnic group in a region which is today northern Sudan, southern Egypt. They had their own language, their own culture, and she was chosen when she was brought to Medina by our beloved Imam al-Rida alayhi salam as his wife and the mother of his son, our Imam al-Jawad, peace and blessings be upon them all. The birth of our Imam was very unique. And according to narrations by his father, our Imam Rida alayhi salam, that there is no blessed birth like this for the Shia. And there is reasons for that. Mainly because his birth had dispelled the campaign of doubts that were sent out and disseminated and were propagated by the opponents of our Imam Rida alayhi salam. Imam was 47 years old and he has not yet been granted a child. And this was an opportunity for those opponents of our Imam to start saying that, okay, if he was an Imam, he wouldn't not have children. Especially the 12er theory, where the Imam has to have an Imam right after him, his son, to succeed him. And so far he's 47 years old, and that's kind of not normal. 47 years old, not having a child. So that raised a lot of doubts by the Waqifah. Now just a quick brief for those who don't know what the Waqifah are. Waqifah is a school that emerged right during or right after the demise and martyrdom of our 7th Imam Musa al-Kadhim alayhi salam. When our Imam al-Kadhim, peace and blessings be upon him, was living, he had deputies, he had wukala. And because he spent long times in prison, years in prison, the Shia would give the khums money and other religious dues to the wukala. Three prominent ones, one of them was Ali ibn Abi Hamza al-Bata'ani. And now these were not just deputies and representatives, they were scholars. So the Imam had trusted them. And once the Imam had been poisoned, now their duty is to hand over all that has been collected to the next Imam, the 8th Imam, peace and blessings be upon him. But shaitan whispered in their ears and in their hearts, and some people have different weaknesses. These people, unfortunately, their weakness was wealth, money. So when they thought that they have to give all this wealth to the Imam alayhi salam, Imam Rida alayhi salam, they thought that, this would be a loss for them. So what did they do? They said, there is no Imam after our Imam al-Kadhim alayhi salam. In fact, he did not die. He went into occultation, and he will come back and fill the earth with justice, and that he is the Mahdi alayhi salam. So this started a whole new school that deviated from the Shia. And some people actually believed in them. They were able to deviate, and they were able to convince many people from the Shia community. And as we know, in every time, whenever there is a person with a new idea or with any type of ideology, they will always capture and attract certain people to follow them. So when the Waqifah started, our Imam Rida, of course, had condemned them highly, had cursed them, and made different announcements to the Shia of how much they have to avoid this type of group and avoid their deviance. So what happened is, this group of al-Waqifah, when our Imam al-Rida had stood against them and showed their false claims, they kept on finding different things just to attack the imamah of our Imam Rida alayhi salam. One of them was the fact that he did not have any children until the age of 47. So one of them had sent him a letter, and this is reported in Al-Kafi. He said to him in this letter, one of the Waqifi figures, he says to him, "How can you be an imam while not having any child?" To which the Imam replied, "How do you know I will not have a child? You don't know what will happen tomorrow. You cannot assume," and this is a lesson for us, my dears. Nothing in the decree of Allah is too late. Allah brings things in the right timing. Our Imam Rida could have raised his hand for dua when he was 21, 22, 24. Say, "Oh Allah, I need a child now." And I don't think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would not, or would refuse the talab or the supplication or the asking and the request by our Imam, because their du'as are what? Mustajab. And they do not supplicate like us. We supplicate for both things that are good and bad. Now the Imams know that they only supplicate for that which is good. But the taslim that our Imams had, this submission to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that they don't even ask Him or suggest to Him what He should give them. They're satisfied, and they know that Allah has hikmah behind everything. Imam is 47 years old, no children. Could have said, "Oh Allah, this has been a while, I need children." Our Imams don't think the same way we think. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed him at the age of 47 with our beloved Imam Muhammad al-Jawad alayhi salam. Now, not too long after the birth of our Imam al-Jawad, 7 years, some say 8, our Imam al-Rida was martyred. In fact, at the age of 5, our Imam al-Jawad, at the age of 5, his father had to say his farewell as he was summoned to go to Khurasan in Iran to be the vicegerent or the crown prince for Al-Ma'mun al-Abbasi. Al-Ma'mun, during that time, he was faced by a lot of challenges, a lot of revolutions were rising, a lot of tension. And he thought with his devilish mind that one way to kind of reduce and mitigate all these things is to bring someone who all these revolutionists, or most of them, are calling for to be an imam, these Alawis, to bring someone who they believe as the imam, who is Imam Rida alayhi salam, and to appoint him as the crown prince. And here he would not only make these people quiet down a little bit, or stop their uprisings and revolutions. But not only that, but also he would depict the Imam in a negative image. He would say, look, this person is a seeker of the world. He's willing to be my crown prince. Of course he was forced. Our Imam was forced into this position. And Imam also made it clear to Al-Ma'mun that he would not make any decisions, and he would not, for example, prison people, sign any executions. And in his own way, our Imam had dispelled and made this turn against Al-Ma'mun. Anyhow, not too far after, Al-Ma'mun thought that this didn't work, so he ended up poisoning our Imam Rida alayhi salam. So at the age of 7 or 8, our Imam Muhammad al-Jawad took on the mission of the Imamah. Now Al-Ma'mun, again, an evil person who was known to be the Muawiyah of the Abbasids. You know how we have Muawiyah during the Umayyads, who is known for his daha, his makr, his what we call his devilish intelligence. I don't want to say intelligent, but devilish intelligence, because there is intelligence that is divine, intelligence that is positive, that is for the sake of goodness, but there is intelligence that is for the sake of evil and shaitan. And this is that intelligence that Muawiyah had, Amr ibn al-As had. And likewise here, Al-Ma'mun, very, very intelligent, but in a devilish way. So what he did is he summoned our Imam al-Jawad at the age of 8 or 9 years old to come to Baghdad. And he arranged for him to marry his own daughter, al-Fadl. He wanted to supervise and make sure that the Imam is under his sight. Now when he did that, what happened is some of the men of the Abbasid, uncles, the cousins, the figures, the people who had authority, they all stood against him and they said, what are you doing? How could you give this Abbasid daughter to our opponent? At the end of the day, the Alawis are our opponents. We can't deny that. So how would you do that? This is not something we should play with. Marry our daughter to this person. Yesterday you poisoned his father. Today you want to marry your daughter to him. Now he said to them, no, I will. And what I will say goes. And I will show you the intelligence of that guy. Of course, these people think with a worldly mindset. Says, this is an intelligent person. They don't believe in him as an imam. And we can take him from a young age and make him, maybe he'll be one of us in the future. And we can use his intelligence to support our causes and our missions. Not knowing that these imams don't work like that. Anyhow, so when the Ma'mun brought him, he decided before the recitation of the nikah to bring the qudat, the judges, the ministers, and one of them, the head of all the qudat, which is a very high position. Today, if we say, for example, the supreme judge, for example, in the Supreme Court. Something very high position, supposedly he was a jurist, he was a knowledgeable man by the name of Yahya ibn Aktham. So he brought Yahya and he brought everyone. And he says to them, ask him. I want to show you that he knows. So ask him a question. So Yahya decided to ask him a very tricky question, which is related to the rulings of Hajj. Usually the rulings of Hajj are probably one of the most complicated rulings. They're very detailed, they're based on different riwayat, everything has its own ruling. And it's not something that an alim usually, no matter how knowledgeable they are, they would remember them right away. They kind of have to refer back to a book and figure things out. It's not very easy to remember these ahkam. So Yahya ibn Aktham thought, okay, I'll just throw at him a question in the matters of Hajj, and he'll probably stutter, and I'll show them that he's not as Al-Ma'mun is saying. So he says to him, with the permission of Al-Ma'mun, let me ask you this question. He says, yes, go ahead, ask. And he said to him, I want to ask you about a muhrim. Muhrim is one who's in the state of ihram. When we go to Hajj, there is a stage where we enter the state of ihram, where we wear the, special for the men of course, the garment, the 2 pieces, and for women they can wear anything as long as it covers them, except for covering their face. They're not allowed to cover their face while in the state of ihram. So he says, if a muhrim hunts an animal, as we know one of the muharramat in ihram is to do what? To hunt an animal, be it a bird, be it any other animal. He says, what is the ruling for that? Meaning, what is the kafara, what is the outcome, will the hajj be invalid, and so on and so forth. So the imam said to him, outside the Haram, outside of Mecca, this happened, or inside of Mecca? Did he know the ruling or did he not know the ruling? Did he kill it on purpose or by mistake? Was he a slave or was he a free man? Was he a juvenile or was he an adult? Was it his first time doing so or not? Was the animal a bird or not? A chicken or a hen? Has the hunter insisted on his act or has he repented? Did he do so at night or did he do this during the day? Was he muhrim in Hajj or muhrim for Umrah? So the Imam started even branching out the mas'ala into about 20 branches. These are just only some of them. So in this, Yahya ibn Aktham stood there astonished. He doesn't know the rulings for all these cases. Imam is telling him, you asked me about something, yet I'm asking you back that this thing could have 20 different possible scenarios. Which one are you talking about? So Al-Ma'mun here, of course, stood smiling, telling them, see, I told you that this person is very knowledgeable. And he recited the marriage contract and then asked Al-Imam Al-Jawad to respond and give the ruling for each of these scenarios. And Imam ﷺ did give the rulings for each of these detailed scenarios. And later after, of course, we will not have time to go through that, but our Imam asked Al-Ma'mun to raise a question to Yahya. And he raised a very difficult question and Yahya could not answer. And he says, oh my master, if you can excuse me, I don't know the answer to this question. Of course, during that gathering, everyone noticed that this is a very intelligent young man. Of course, they did not, again, believe that he was divinely chosen. And the truth is, of course, he is divinely chosen. Otherwise, how would he have this special knowledge at this very young age, keeping in mind that at the age of 5, his father left to Khurasan. So he only spent 5 years with his father. And during these 5 years, of course, we have to consider the infant age. Then he became a child, right after being a toddler and so on and so forth. It's not enough to learn the knowledge that he has. Yahya ibn Aktham, Qadi al-Qudat, person who is elderly, who's been studying, who's been into this for years. He's the head of the supreme judicial system during the time of the Abbasids, yet he did not know the answer to these questions. So that tells us the knowledge of our Imam alayhi salam is not knowledge that is attained, rather it is knowledge that is gifted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. 17 years after this incident, or after the marriage of our Imam, the Mu'tasim, who was the leader after, he's the son of, the brother of Al-Ma'mun. After the death of the Ma'mun, Mu'tasim took on the Khilafah, the leadership, and he decided to poison. Mu'tasim was someone who was not like Al-Ma'mun. He is more animosity, higher animosity, great animosity towards the Alawis and towards Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. So he plotted with his niece, Al-Fadl, the wife of the Imam, to poison him. And she did so because she was very, very, according to some riwayat, jealous of the mother of our Imam Al-Hadi alayhi salam. As our Imam Al-Jawad was gifted or was granted children through his other wife and not through Al-Fadl. So that kind of also paved the way for her, for her cruel behavior towards the Imam and for her animosity. May the peace be upon our beloved Imam, the day he was born, the day he was martyred, and the day that he will be resurrected. We beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala on this blessed night and by the honor of the Imam to hasten the glorious reappearance of our Imam. And we beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to fulfill all of our wishes, all of our hajat for the dunya and for the akhirah. And we beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give cure to all of those who are sick. Walhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wa sallallahu ala Sayyidina Muhammad وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين.
محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد.